set?
So predictable.
Good to go?
Huh? No. Who's not? So predictable. So predictable.
All right, guys.
Don't fall into that, Michelle. Don't fall into it.
Thanks for joining us.
Don't fall into the mess, Michelle. Yeah. You all know. I think I've seen your guys' texts inside your group chats. It's interesting. There was a group chat last year I saw. It was interesting to see here. Thoughts?
Are you ready?
Thanks for joining us, guys, for tonight's post-match press conference. Tonight's attendance of 20,738 marks the 59th consecutive MLS home sellout, extending the league's longest active streak. Before we get into questions, we'll start, Josh, with your thoughts on the match.
And a very complete performance from our guys. I think it's early in the season. It's the 10th game. We're 3-3-3. It's probably about where we deserve. And as I've mentioned, the guys have been working incredibly hard from preseason on. Numbers have been light. We focused on a lot of different things, from an attacking standpoint, a defending standpoint. I think with the ball and without the ball tonight, we knew exactly what we needed to do in order to hurt and stress this opponent. Every team has strengths and vulnerabilities, so we have to be very, very aware of their strengths. And they had some vulnerabilities, and we were able to exploit those and make them count. The energy inside the stadium, the atmosphere in Q2 again is, it's nights like today or days like today and nights like we've had in the previous home games that make it really, really, really special. The supporter section do their part, but the rest of the fans are fully embraced in it, and it's awesome. It's our part to do our diligence on the field and entertain and play a role in that, but it is such an awesome place to be. It's such an awesome place to play in front of those fans and be able to do the work that we do. And it obviously feels very rewarding on both ends when you're able to put a performance like that together and beat the best team in the league, pitch a shutout, grab 12 out of 15 points, win 4 of 5, both home and away. And start to set ourselves up for a stretch that's always challenging. When you go back on the road for a couple more, it's going to make the guys feel good. But the complete effort and commitment from the guys was very apparent. And we don't talk about much. We just go out and do our work. And I think that's what you see with our guys.
Thanks, Josh. We'll go now to media questions. Whoever would like to start off, go right ahead. Phil.
So in particular, the shutout's kind of surprising given the offensive acumen that the Galaxy have had so far this year. What kind of things did you go into the week emphasizing in terms of your defensive structure and what to do?
Well, again, I think it piggybacks a lot of what we worked on in preseason. We've had flexibility in our structure, and it has to hold up in games to get the validation, for the players to get that validation and belief. And we've utilized 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 5-2-3. So I think that's where we've shown some maturity. And we talk about what LA Galaxy is. They're a very good attacking team. They have many ways to hurt you. They have exceptional talent on their wings, and they have a playmaker that is I don't know that there's many that are better. So you got to try to minimize his impact in areas that he can get the ball and where they ultimately want to go. They want to go inside, and we did a good job clogging that up. We transitioned extremely well against them tonight, knowing that they wanted to get to some certain areas. Our lines were shifting well. They were quite compact. And we dueled really, really well. Johnny and Biro did a really good job when they were isolated. Brendan and Julio gave good cover in the channels. Alex and Pepe, more so Alex, with just the bite and defending and winning balls, allowing us to transition, was extremely good. Obi and Emmy were responsible. And when we transitioned, we were able to hurt them. And you also need to find the value in keeping the ball and go side to side to side. Go back to your goalie, go to the goal, go back to your goalie. So those are things that we preached. You still got to score goals. So we scored 2. I think we probably could have had a couple more in transition, if I'm being honest. Would have liked that. But the guys worked incredibly hard, and they had some shots. But, again, angles, not great. A lot of bodies between them. And, the guys deserve a boatload of credit. They performed extremely well.
Yeah, and then this is 12 points from the last 5 games, which is the best stretch since the middle of 22. So is this validation of what you're doing? Is it ride that wave because it's MLS, or a little bit of both?
It's 10 games into the season, so we don't get carried away. You know, when you guys were slaughtering us earlier this year, I don't get too bummed out. You guys do what you do. You got to pump out headlines, and you got to get readers. I understand it. You know, whether I agree with that or not, that's what you guys choose to do. We're going to stay humble. We keep working. What you saw out there was a group that, yeah, we want to talk about having the ball and we want to hurt the opponent, but when we didn't have the ball, the humility to keep working, the commitment to one another, that's to me the validation. I don't worry about anybody else's validation. What I appreciate and what I look for is what's happening on the field, what's happening in the locker room, what's happening on the training room. That's my validation. So wins and results and so forth for you guys, fans and ownership, but I see the work, and we got lots of work to do. We're like I said, we're 10 games in, and it feels good to win a game. You know, it happened to be LA Galaxy, and we'll look forward to the next game. Got another challenge.
O'Brien, how big was he tonight? What did you like from him? And I guess, what did you guys see from him, you know, a year ago that maybe kind of to target him in the re-entry draft?
Yeah, I think as the offseason starts to unfold, we don't have a lot of numbers. First and foremost, we have an older group. We don't have a ton of speed, so right away he checks a couple boxes. He's not young, he's not old, but he's quite fast. Johnny's he and Johnny are probably our 2 fastest guys in Emmy. So I know he played with Nico Estevez in Dallas, so there's some principles of play that probably really apply, and he has a good understanding of how you can affect and hurt the opposition, utilizing his speed and positioning. So we've worked diligently on that with him here. It's a little different. We do it a little different than maybe some of the places he's played previously, but he can get out on the break. And, for us, we talk a lot about decision making and execution, and obviously it's a delight to see him get out on the break and score a goal. I was hard on these guys when we came out of Houston. The defending for me wasn't good enough from our front 3 or 4. So a real candid conversation with our front 4 or 5 and how we defended. It could have been better. It wasn't bad, but it could have been better. Because of an opponent like this is why it needs to be better. So when Emmy and Obi do the work that they do to help Seba in the middle of the field, preventing middle and nullifying a little bit of the space that they want, it pays dividends, and it also leads to transition moments. So Obi and Emmy, I thought, did a great job. Seba pulled some strings, as he always does, but the collective effort was awesome. It was awesome.
Especially the first half, just to come out the way you did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how important is that to just set the tone?
Incredibly important. Yeah. At home, you want to start fast. You want to play in their end. You want to take their legs and life out of the game to some degree. They're a good team. They're going to have the ball. They're going to have moments and momentum at some point. So when you have it, it's important not to just relinquish it and give it back. So for us, getting an early goal, Diego has been so good in these games, and not to get the rewards maybe that he deserves in some games. But tonight, again, for me, was the game ball was Diego, and he worked incredibly hard. He held balls up. He sprung attacks. He brought people into the attack. He plays the game inside the game. He has a real smell and sniff for how to provoke the opponent, and he does it all the time. And he toes the red line, but he's still able to compete and play in a good way. So getting an early goal was good. It stresses him. Utilizing the ball in a good way in the first half, grabbing the second, again, capitalizing on momentum is really, really important in this league. And, as they had the ball, we saw some moments where we were stressed, but the guys continue to hold up, and the backline defending, we call it red zone, low block, red zone defending was extremely good. Backline, Julio and Brendan did a great job. As I mentioned, Biro and Johnny are on islands at times. Really, really good job against 2 of the best wingers in the league. And Brad, when called upon, not many times, made his save. So, solid.
Yeah, congrats on the wins, Coach. Just kind of in particular with that quick start, just how important was it for your team to disrupt the Galaxy's build-up and just get that good press going? Yeah,
I think the goals, I think goals will change games. You hear me say it. An early goal can be unsettling. I think they're LA. They have, Ricky Puig's not going to get bummed out by giving up a goal. I don't think Pencil is going to be, whoa. I think Brugman is an experienced guy that's played in Italy. So, these guys are experienced. I don't think they're going to get too affected by it. But it's our ability to now take control of the game. And at home, the onus is on you. But they're a good team. We need to utilize the ball and make it count when we have it. In transition, in run of play, in set pieces, and that was, I think what we talked about and deliberated all week on. And the guys did a really, really good job of understanding that and utilizing it. There was one moment at the end of the first half where we went transition to transition to transition, and it wiped our guys out. You could see it. That is, again, not a space that we can sit and live in. Grabbing a transition and going, fair enough, but we got to make good decisions in those moments. One, to allow our guys to come up. But early goals can affect the game. But it's the ability to now, continue on that. It's a good opponent. They're one of the best possession teams. They create a lot of chances. And Puig is as difficult a player to deal with in our league. So, our guys did a good job as a group.
Well, yeah, and just kind of speaking about those attacking transitions, how important is Diego Rubio to those? It seems like he does a great job, like dropping off the forward line and receiving passes in between the lines.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And his ability to connect with Seba, and when you can play forward, if you can turn, fair enough. But when you can't turn, the ability for that ball to stick and connect to Obi, to Emi, to Seba, again, asks big questions of the opposition. We knew from a speed standpoint today against that opponent, we had matchups that favored us, and we took full advantage of that.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Can you tell me a little bit about Florentino Perez and maybe if that had anything to do with how confident this team looked today?
No.
Or did they know that maybe
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I didn't meet him, so I don't know.
Did you meet him?
I did not know.
Oh, okay. And then can you tell me about what this win does to the team now that you're traveling for the next 2 games and the confidence that it may give them?
Yeah, it should give the players confidence. I mean, you can see today they perform with confidence. They can, they performed with precision. They performed with discipline, and we're going to need that going to Vancouver. It's another really good team. It's on turf. It's a big travel, so it'll be challenging, but we'll enjoy this and we'll get ready for them.
Just, the guys been playing well pretty much all season, like you said, and a couple of games here and there. But is this the difference between them finishing and not finishing like they were earlier?
No, I think I think goals change games. They do. I mean, it's a silly phrase that I think every coach probably uses, but it does. It affects the momentum of the game. It affects the emotion of games. Obviously, you have to be able to manage that when you're on this, when you can put your foot down and really go for it. But if you give something up, how you can now, eliminate any next goals against. So, it happens at both ends. I put a lot into our guys. We try to talk a lot about our positioning, and it's a positional game for us, but it's very fluid at moments, from the attacking standpoint. And from the defending standpoint, we've been extremely diligent in how we've prepared guys and worked in preseason, and we continue to work with them now. From a defending standpoint, defending the red zone, defending in mid-block, and having the variety in that. But, they got to come out and execute it. That's the validation, again, for players, is it's putting it in place and getting results like this. So we've seen the progress. Sometimes we don't see the results that maybe everybody wants, but that's where we don't get, I don't get too flustered by any of the other stuff. I mean, we're going to win more games and we're going to lose more games. The important part is assess what's happening on the field, look what's being done and how the players are now learning and taking on information and applying. Because, there are millions of decisions inside a game, and the only people that can make those are the players, not us. So, that's what we try to teach, and that's how we try to go about our business. And today they did a really good job.
And speaking of players, just how scary was it to see Greaves? He kind of hold that again.
Yeah, he's an influential player on our team. There's no doubt about it. Seba's again, where he may not get all the applause tonight. You talk about the ability to hold balls and get us out of trouble and now bring us into the attack, to have the calm and the pause at the right moments, to have the ability to step on the gas and have ball security. It makes a big difference. And he's busting his ass to get down to defend in the penalty box as well. So he is as selfless. I've been around, said when he had an amazing year in 22, a lot of DPs in this league, but his ability to do the work at both ends of the field and the willingness to do it is, to me, what really sets him apart. His qualities is quite present and is quite obvious, and in doing so, he makes those around him much better. I want him to score lots of goals, and that was probably the only real disappointment tonight is when he got free and he shook a guy that he wasn't able to make it 3-0. But he is he's a heck of a player, but he's, as I've always said, an awesome human being.
Any other questions for Josh?
Cole, you want to do? Take it, dude. Take it.
So from a general perspective, not necessarily on this game, it seems like in the off season you guys kind of had to nail your signings, and it looks like you have with Heinzike, Rubio, Obrian. Is that I don't even know what the question is. But it looks like you had to nail the signs. It looks like you did. Is that something you're seeing so far? I mean, you got to be happy with these guys that you brought in over the winter, even though it was just 3 or 4.
Yeah, the off season is it's very challenging and different for all teams. I think without getting into the weeds on it, there's, does your club have the ability to sign players domestically or internationally? What spaces do you have? What salary cap do you have? And and for Roto, there's a lot of restriction in what we were able to do in the offseason. So we had to move some players last year in order to have the ability to do some things in the offseason. And it was late in the year when we were able to pick up some players. But we can pick up the phone and call Diego Rubio, who I've spoken to, and Rodrigo Rios, who's one of our staff members is Chilean, is able to pick up the phone and talk to him. We can pick up the phone and talk to Obrian and again have conversations with him as we're getting to a point where we have to make decisions. Brendan Hines-Ike, I think Rodolfo had good information, and Davey's able to pick up the phone and call players around the league. What are they like? So we have to be very selective. We have to be very measured. We have to fit them into budget. We would think about character. We think about the way that we want to play. And again, you hope they come in and have a positive impact to the group. We still to this day can't play 11s against one another. We utilize ATX2 players to come in order to do that. But our guys can compete against anyone in this league. I think we continue to show that, and I will continue to say that. We have to be very measured. We have to be very very diligent about our execution. And we have to keep improving. And somewhere along the lines, we may get some more players in the summer if the transfer window and as it comes alive. But that's for Rodolfo, and I know he's working hard. And there's always opportunity and discussion about it. But what we have right now, we're going to war with each and every game, and we put ourselves in position to win most of these games. And we got to keep improving. There's nothing to rest on right now. Absolutely nothing.
Anything else? All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Josh.